So psilocybin possession would remain illegal, but would become police's lowest law enforcement priority. So,
What does that mean?
in other words,
what's the current lowest?
in-
Jaywalking?
yeah.
So now it's right below jaywalking?
It's literally the news.
literally the news
Literally.
on everyone's favorite show.
Literally the news. Like, we're literally just going to talk about
Literally.
some shit that we find that's in the news right now.
So
right?
what were you just talking about?
No, I don't know. It's Trump feels somehow betrayed. Hey, man, that's my tea, motherfucker.
Oh,
what
that
in the
is.
fuck
I
universe?
didn't put my lips on it.
Dude, that was close, so
Chill
you
out.
breathed on it.
Okay, hey, so back by popular demand, the Gooch. Everybody,
By popular demand.
yeah.
Right.
Apparently, this guy's gonna replace me as the show host if I don't play my cards correctly.
Oh,
The
shit.
fans will demand it. It sounds like.
Oh,
Yeah, everybody likes it. So anywho,
that's good to hear.
Yeah, I don't know what their problem is.
I know.
but-
No shit.
So Trump feels betrayed by Fox News.
Yeah, it says here a close read of his Twitter feed. He's grown increasingly frustrated with Fox News.
Oh, sorry. Well, welcome to the club.
And it's just, I don't know. He's critiquing how they're doing their jobs, and
Yeah.
it's just absurd.
He's
I mean,
just being-
for him, why does he think that he's the one? I don't know. Why does he think he gets to fucking whine about everybody picking apart everything he does? I mean, that's what they do to everybody.
I think it's just Trump being Trump and trying to draw the attention away from his face and all his dirty dealings and
Dude,
shit.
he is.
Well, he wants the attention on his face, but not on everything that he's doing.
He is the man baby, dude. It's
Yeah, he's a
crazy.
fucking-
I mean, how is a guy?
He's a clown.
I don't allow my children to say shit isn't fair in our house because fair is totally relative and too many ways to even start talking about fair. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, but I've never heard a guy who claims to be worth $10 billion. Forbes puts him at like 1.5 or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to hear him whining about what is and isn't fair. It's really kind of gross. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, dude. It's pretty fucking...
He's always and then I mean, SNL made fun of him like they do everybody
Yeah.
on the planet. If you're famous, you get made fun of on SNL. You know, they don't bring people on SNL to talk about how cool they are. They bring them on there to rag on them. So I don't know why I don't know. It seems kind of pathetic. I hate to be that guy too, the Trump basher, and I don't even know if it's his policy as much as it is. I just think he's kind
Just
of
that
a
he's
douche.
a douche.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I didn't like him before, so why would I?
Yeah, I didn't like.
him now?
Yeah, as soon as his name came up, I'm like, this is a fucking
Okay.
joke. We're gonna get really close to the end. Everybody's gonna be like, ha ha ha! Watch my new show. You know.
The funniest
I mean, it actually happened.
the funniest thing about it though is that the news bitches and whines about him now, but they're the reason that he got elected. He didn't even have to go that deep to pay for a campaign because they had constantly had cameras in his face.
I mean, that's how it should be anyway for all the viable candidates. I mean,
Right,
nobody
but
should have to pay.
The point being, though, is that's not how it is. Everybody else has to spend money and scrape.
Oh man, the
beg
last
for
election
dollars and
was
shit.
the last election before the Trump election. The Obama,
Obama and Romney each spent like $1 billion.
close to $1 billion.
Yeah, it was like right at $1 billion.
900 something million dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'd be impressed by? A guy who could get enough people to back him to give him $980 million and then do something great with that money. You know,
Right.
instead of buy commercial airtime. You
Yeah.
know, feed the monster. You know, look, I'm gonna help you all. You know, we're gonna overcome the monster by feeding it. You know, and I just don't understand the whole thing.
Well, it's
crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, I've given up on the politics.
I mean, I just
Like,
wish there was a
thinking
way to
it'll work.
actually hold them accountable for anything. And it's not. It's all of them. It's not any one of them or any group or any of that shit.
Well, you need to, yeah, but I'm with you. But it seems like anything short of a public lynching, wouldn't really do any good at this point.
Dude, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I mean, like, these people can get away with shit that, I mean, if you knew somebody who was doing the same shit, you'd look down on them. But instead, we put them on a pedestal.
It's crazy. So, anyway, so Trump is whining about that.
Yeah.
So what the
Let's
fuck?
find some real news.
Yeah.
Let me put in real news. Let's see what comes up. Oh, I put in teal news. Fuck.
Teal news.
Let's see what happens.
Real news as opposed to fake news.
Yeah. Current news. Teal walk. I don't know
Teal
what that
walk.
is.
There you go. So here we go. Denver. Here's something I want to talk about. Denver Post. Denver first in U.S. You keep looking for something while I'm talking.
Yeah.
Denver first in U.S. to decriminalize psychedelic shrooms. So psilocybin possession would remain illegal, but would become police's lowest law enforcement priority. So
What does that mean?
in other words,
What's the current lowest?
In-
Jaywalking?
yeah.
So now it's right below jaywalking?
in other words, nothing
What
has
does that mean?
changed in Denver. Okay, thanks for the cool story.
Yeah, they made it. I've heard some hype about that. I've actually been avoiding the news lately. It just I think it's the abortion thing.
It says the abortion. What's that? Abortion? Yeah,
I
that's all
think the
that's
abortion thing is just taking over the news, and I've heard.
I haven't seen anything about it. I don't know.
I haven't. You know what? I haven't seen anybody get on there and go, you know what? I didn't believe in abortion, but now you told me that
yeah.
that children and I mean people make a lot of good points, and they always do. I mean. People talk about other humanitarian issues that are just being ignored and that are going to be worsened by fewer abortions.
Right.
I mean, because, abortions are a symptom of the lower class. And so then you're feeding into the lower class, and then you're making more people who are going to reproduce at an irresponsible rate and age and financial status.
Well, it's not even, and you're putting a burden on people who don't want it, and what have we seen with that? It doesn't work, man.
Yeah, people who
if people were ready to
choose to have their kids hate their fucking children and treat them like
a lot
shit.
of times they do. But I've had an epiphany throughout the whole thing.
What's that?
I've decided that I'm going to move to Alabama and open a second floor abortion clinic.
A second floor abortion clinic?
Yeah, it's just a desk at the top of the stairs, and you collect the money, and then you shove them down the stairs.
Right, just kick them in the back.
Yeah, and you're like, come back if it didn't take.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll give you another one for free. But,
right. Hell yeah, of course.
Yeah, so, because that's exactly what you're going to get.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of that.
I mean, maybe not necessarily. If somebody...
Well then, but the problem is if you go out of state, then they can still press charges from what I understand. So... If you go, even if you go to somewhere where it's legal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This idea that you can, ban something. It's just crazy. It doesn't work. It didn't work with alcohol. It didn't work with drugs. It doesn't work with prostitution. So what the fuck, dude? And you can feel however you want to feel about the thing, but if you're spending more energy yelling at people about how abortion is murder than you are trying to figure out ways to help prevent unwanted pregnancies, then you're not really helping anything.
Yeah, and then, but then birth control encourages,
Here's the deal, though, man. If you don't have the opportunity or aren't made aware of the options, then you're fucked anyways. So
yeah,
it's
well,
better
to get any funding in these states now, they're not allowed to even speak of abortion as an option. They're not allowed to utter the words in their office when speaking to someone about pregnancy. I don't know what you call it, pregnancy management.
In those states or what? In just certain states?
I think so, but I think I can't remember if it was something that's been proposed, federally or not. But I don't know. Shit, man. I was thinking something. You asked me that question.
I don't know what you were thinking. Man.
Oh yeah, I'm pro-life. I don't think there's anything wrong with being pro-life. I don't personally think that is something that I would choose to do, and but I'm also pro-choice.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you're pro-life personally, but pro-choice
right.
socially or whatever.
Yeah, I think be anything other than pro-choice, politically speaking, is crazy because you're not going to stop it.
Well, you're not going to stop it first off, but you're not. It's not. You're not the best person to make that decision for other people.
Right. And then you look at the photos of all the people who voted on this shit in Alabama, and it's all like 60-year-old white dudes.
Oh yeah.
That have never been put in that situation, and actually some of them have been put in that situation and are on. They had one guy. I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't fact checked it. I should fact check it before I say anything. Somebody can fact check it and then kiss my ass. But this is what I heard, and it's a good anecdote, and I'm sure that this exists. But the guy's wife had 1 or 2 abortions, and then some other chick that he was involved with, and he was knowledgeable, and the way it was worded, supportive, so, and then he's in here voting on this, and that's the point. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's, people with money are still going to find ways to have an abortion if they want one.
Yeah.
The people who are going to suffer, the people who are going to die, the people who are going to have children that they can't afford, the people who are going to slip further into poverty, the people who are going to, who may have otherwise had a chance to make a mistake and then move on with their lives and do better and recognize that they needed to do better and build a better life for themselves and their children in the future.
Yeah.
That's all stunted, like, really badly by having a child when you're not ready. So you're taking away some of the percentage of people that may have made it out to some degree, and you're taking away another chunk of those people. I mean, it's going to have a snowball effect, and I believe that 100%. And I don't know. I mean, I know it sucks to say that fiscally speaking it makes sense, but fiscally speaking it makes a whole lot of fucking sense. Like a lot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. What have you found anything else?
Well, did you hear about the Robert Smith, who just announced to Morehouse College that he was going to cover their student debt at a cost of $40 million?
Really?
Yeah, he paid for everybody in the graduating class's debt.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a good story.
That's pretty awesome.
Robert F. Smith making shit happen.
Who the fuck is that guy?
So he is a private equity investor.
Equity, of course, man. It's all in real estate and finance.
Too,
it's ridiculous how much we spend on real estate and finance.
Yeah,
it's so absurd. That's why our GDP is so high, and we're all stretched so thin.
Check this out. Here's the funny thing, is that it contrasts it with a story. What are you doing, dude? Quit doing that.
Oh, what was I doing?
You're rubbing your leg against the table that you have your mic on. So it has a picture of Robert Mnuchin, who spent $91 million on a stainless steel statuette of a rabbit, and so he could have done that twice and still had $11 million left. What a dick!
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it wasn't his money; it was a client's money that he spent it on. So we don't know whose money it was.
Some asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. There are people who aren't going to eat dinner tonight, and your ass has a $91 million rabbit head.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, man. Well,
get the fuck out of here.
Some motherfuckers got to have their rabbit heads.
I mean, I guess, man. I guess somebody has to do it so that we can eventually at the end of it all say it's all been done, and people can get over the bullshit, and we can just like get on with it. Yeah. Get on with being civilized. Like we pretend we're civilized. We are the same fucking
Well, I mean, when you think
primates
about it,
we've always been.
Yeah, when you think about it, people act surprised by where we are in current year or whatever. But we really haven't come all that far.
Dude, we haven't come very far at all. No. Dude, people behaving in a civilized manner it's all so that it's an understanding between everybody that we all just be cool, and we can just get on with our lives. People aren't civilized because they're better. They're civilized because they at least know well enough to just
it's easier.
Be cool.
It's more convenient.
I mean, it works. It keeps from getting your ass beat.
Yeah, no shit.
And you can't say what you're thinking, or you can't make money. If everybody said what they were thinking, nobody'd have a job.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean,
people got to get over that eventually too.
You can say what you're thinking.
Yeah,
just
I guess
not in the public eye.
Yeah,
you just can't be.
Nice.
If you're not famous, if you're unfamous enough, you can say pretty much whatever the hell you want.
I say whatever the fuck I want most of the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit I would say though that I don't because of social convention, because it's looked down upon.
Give me an example of something you would say that you usually don't.
The first thought that crops through your mind when you see somebody who's doing or behaving in a certain way or like dressed in a certain way or there's a lot of shit that crosses your mind in a given day that you can't just blurt out to the person.
Like, look at that fucking idiot.
I mean, there'd be a lot of that.
A whole lot of that.
The fuck. Just what the fuck?
Who the fuck is this guy?
It's yeah. I mean, you got to be cool, and I get it.
Yeah.
But we're not that civilized. I mean, it's still.
Yeah, we'll get in there, maybe.
I think it's gonna take
12,000 years.
Yeah, it's gonna take. I don't know if it's gonna take that long, but it's gonna take a while.
I mean, but no, yeah,
we've got to evolve socially, man. We've got to get past this thing that we're in, where I don't know. It's like people still haven't evolved the reality that the resources are still there. Like, I think that's what greed is. Greed is like our, that pack rat mentality, where I'm storing food or I'm, stuff that other animals do naturally that we see as like this natural behavior, but we do it and we overcomplicate it and we see it as success and being good at whatever this.
Sorry, I thought the ringer was off. Go ahead.
You suck. Mine's on. I totally got thrown for a loop there, but what the fuck was I talking about?
Fuck if I know. You
God
went off on a
damn it.
tangent there.
Oh,
You were talking about how uncivilized we are and how an evolution.
Right. I mean, I think greed is just that, that evolutionary thing that says I need to stockpile goods so that my family can be safe for as long as possible. And it's like, we have this game set up, and this is the way that this game works, and it's not necessarily about hard work, which is what they want you to believe, because they need people who believe that hard work is the center to success, and because that's how they, I mean, every billionaire is made out of the fucking blood, sweat, and tears of thousands of regular people working hard, and so they need you to believe that that's the key to success. So that's that dialogue that we've been fed our entire lives is work hard and everything. Work hard and you might be able to pay your fucking bills. You might be able to keep your fucking house, I mean, the fact that, 50% of homes are living paycheck to paycheck, it's absurd. There's more than enough resources to go around that it shouldn't be that way. And we have to evolve to the point where we understand, we have like this deep understanding that as long as we all have this mentality of taking care of each other, then we'll all always be taken care of. Instead, it's like we still haven't, it's almost like we've devolved from like the tribal mentality, No matter who you were in the tribe, you were only so far away from even its lowest members, And now that gap just keeps widening and widening constantly. And the people in the middle continue to bear most of the financial load, but that group keeps getting stretched further and further, and we have more people joining the lower class, and more people joining the top 1%.
Yeah. And
meanwhile, the burden is typically left on the people who still believe that thing, where if you work hard, then everything's going to work out.
Yeah. Well, everybody from. I mean, that's, it's a social conditioning. I mean, that's what our schools and everything are there for, is to teach us to be good little puritanical worker bees.
Oh, hell yeah.
Go along and not really ask questions. And
yeah. It's a little less of that now. It's getting a little more free form, and I like that.
Well, somewhat, but you still have, they're teaching the social religion in a lot of regards, as much as anything else. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, why aren't they? There are a lot of parents who aren't capable of running like a successful and organized life.
Yeah.
And so they don't have a way to teach that to their children. And I mean, if we want people to grow up and be financially responsible and all this shit, why aren't we teaching people how to be like people? We used to teach home ec, like, hey Betty, they teach them like in home ec though. They would teach them like balancing a checkbook. Maybe that's why women are always better at running households, because in home ec they used to teach them like how to cook and
I don't
make
know.
pies and balance a checkbook and sew and shit.
Oh man, women are just better.
We had shop class, you know. Well, we didn't. That was already phased out by the time we.
Well, we just went to a Catholic school, so.
Yeah, it was pretty shady school. Didn't even have a gym in our grade school growing up.
No.
We had a
Feltman Hall.
Feltman Hall. It was a fucking big ass cafeteria space with like a 9-foot ceiling.
Yeah.
With knocking tiles out of the ceiling.
Played hockey in there and shit.
Yeah.
Good times.
Dodgeball. A lot of
Yeah,
dodgeball.
you can't swing the stick too high though.
Yeah, no shit.
Wrestling meets in there.
Wrestling meets, people's
tossed,
feet would hit the fucking ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, that was always fun.
That was our gym. That's crazy.
Yeah, good times.
Play basketball.
And
outside
we'd go
the
to other
lot.
places, and their gyms were shaped like the church at our place. Remember?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, they put our church where the gym was supposed to be.
Yeah, no shit. It was supposed to be a school, and they're like, holy shit, wait. If we put a cross on the top of this motherfucker and a bunch of pews in here, we don't have to pay taxes? Is that what you're
Oh,
talking about? Oh,
tits.
shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Real nice.
Bring on the cross.
Yeah, please.
Remember we
For the
partied?
love of God.
Remember we fucking partied so hard in the convent?
I didn't.
You remember that?
No, I wasn't there.
You weren't there?
No.
Oh my God, no! It
That's
was
when I was in
amazing. You should have been
Mississippi.
there. Oh, it was. Oh, that summer you spent in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Dude, it was. We partied so hard in that convent. The kid whose dad, I'm sure statute of limitations has run out. So the kid whose dad was apparently the real estate agent had the keys, and so we got into the convent at the school where we went to grade school from kindergarten to 8th grade. And we had this crazy ass party. I mean, just everybody's shit faced drunk, just bottles. It was an East Side party, you know. There was like 50 bottles in the room, you know. And everybody was just getting fucked up, and then this guy decided he was gonna smack a girl. This guy who just I don't know where he came from. He was a friend of a friend, or just some rando that saw the party and walked in. I don't know who he was, but. So he was not part of like this pretty tight-knit high school group. And then he smacks a chick. Like, are you fucking insane? Dude, they lost it. They fucking attacked that motherfucker with golf clubs and pinned him in the bathroom. And he was holding the door for his life. And they were in there beating down the bathroom door and shit. It got out of hand. It got pretty wild.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we had a few pretty wild parties. But that was one of the more memorable ones, especially because it was at the fucking convent where all the nuns that taught us lived. Yeah, it was fucking.
Well, we didn't have. It's not. We weren't like at that Catholic school. It was all nuns. It was like a few nuns and mostly just people, and a couple of people like teachers who you're surprised weren't nuns because they were like evil and shit. Yeah, pretty uptight. They got married instead of becoming nuns. And I was an altar boy and never got molested, so I don't want to hear the jokes. Yeah.
Did you say molested?
Yeah, I did.
I was an altar boy as well.
I don't know if it was because my cheeks weren't cute enough or what.
I never got molested either.
We
were altar boys for the same priest, so yeah, that would have been pretty heartbreaking if one of us got molested and the other one didn't.
Yeah, because then we'd be like, "What's wrong with me?"
Yeah, no shit.
Is he that much cuter than I am?
Yeah, that would have been devastating. That would have ruined me. God. Yeah, so thank God he didn't.
God, all I ever wanted was for him to bite my ass.
Jesus. I can't say that any of our priests would fall into that category.
No, they were all really cool dudes.
They were really cool. They were very nice guys, but you know, priests tend to be kind of asexually-ish, you know.
Or whatever. They're
like Lord Varys.
Yeah.
You know, they're like.
Well, except for they actually still have their bits, right?
Yeah, supposedly. I don't know. I assume so.
Yeah,
I never actually asked.
Okay, cool. So what else is going on?
I don't know, man.
What about
I'm at 1% battery life, dude. So
okay, well I got this. What about Game of Thrones?
Oh my God! Holy shit, dude!
Last episode. Spoiler, motherfuckers.
Are we spoiling?
Yeah, do it. Whatever.
Are we spoiling?
Talk
Just
about
going for it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my God,
Spoilers.
dude!
I'll write it in the notes.
Let's see.
It's the news, man. It's what's going on right now.
Bran the Broken, first of his name, like what is it? Protector of the Six Kingdoms, because Bran
gave her the North.
He gave Sons of the North.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then he made Tyrion his hand. Which, what the fuck, man? Everybody's just like, okay, out of the however many, you know, couple million people, few million people that live in their little world, you know, how many of them have chosen Tyrion as their hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, everybody's just like, oh,
Oh,
fuck
yeah,
it,
the
you're
short
here.
guy's okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
right. You're not threatening. You know, you're not going to try and kill me. You'll just be happy to be.
I mean, maybe
hanging
you
out
will,
with me.
probably not, hopefully.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but everybody's just like, yeah, shit, yeah, that guy, fuck yeah.
Don't you think it's fucked up, though, because Bran, like, really is the worst character in the whole show?
Man, I think being the three-eyed raven, like, you can't just sit around and chat it up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You got too much going on. There's too much in there. You know, you can't just sit around and chit-chat about some shit and crack some jokes. You know, I think there's too.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's too intense.
I mean,
you know,
if that's
so.
what you want to say.
So he only says, he's like Silent Bob now. You know, he only says like a few things, but when he does, they're
Yeah.
meant to be
Well, now it's over.
monumental.
But he's the king now, huh?
Dude, and I'm afraid, I've watched the whole thing like through multiple times, and I'm afraid now that I may not like
Anything else that they do?
I may not like it because I know where it ends up.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of Bran being the,
He's a douche.
I mean,
Say it.
yeah,
He's a douche.
well, he's going to be a good leader. That's the point. And then they established, you know, Samuel Tully came up with the, was first dropped the the democracy bomb. He was like, I think the people should. He's like, I think the people should vote, you know, and everybody just laughed. Yeah, exactly. So then they were like, okay, well, we'll bring in, you know, when the current leader dies, then we'll bring in all the lords and ladies of Westeros, and then they'll elect a new leader.
Yeah.
So, Bran's first, you know, so, and he's young, so he'll live for a long time. But then they show him in his first small council meeting, and he just rolls in there and says some shit and then leaves. Like he's not even like hanging out. He like left it to them. So I don't know. I don't know. It seemed interesting. Then Jon ends up north of the wall.
Like, he goes back to hang out with the wildlings
But
or what?
and if you remember, they send him back to the wall because the Unsullied. Okay, so I started at the very end and I'm working my way back.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jon killed Daenerys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see it?
I heard about it.
Oh, so Jon killed Daenerys. So
I don't
had
care.
him-
I go for the spoilers. I'm like, I ain't gonna see it, so I want to know.
Oh
what
man, I gotta watch it. I
want to
it
know
as
what
it
they're gonna be talking
happened, as I
about.
heard it. So
Yeah.
So Jon killed Daenerys. So the Unsullied took Jon, and they refused to give him up. The only way they could get him out alive was to make the compromise that he had to do the life sentence at the wall. Which I'm not sure what the purpose of the wall is anymore because we made good with the wildlings,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're letting them in, and I don't know. But if you remember, I think it was this season. I believe it was this season. A couple of episodes ago, Jon was talking with Tormund. You know, Tormund, Giant's Bane, the big crazy fucking redheaded fucker. I love that dude, but he's been really weird this season. But he's still funny as shit. But so he was talking with him, and Tormund said, "You've got the North in you. You know, the real North." And he said, "You should come with me." And Jon said, "I wish I could." So at least part of Jon liked the idea of going. So then he goes to the Night's Watch, and then we see him leaving north of the wall with a bunch of the wildlings.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, which the assumption there is, I think he can just take off and disappear,
whatever the
like
fuck
Mance
he
Rayder
wants.
did. You know, just go disappear.
Yeah. Well, they don't need the wall, right?
Right, but they explained it as being like still having some place for the fuck offs to go.
The fuck offs to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Here's a headline for you. Actor who portrayed the Night King recalls challenge of playing character with no purpose.
The actor who plays the Night King
Yeah.
recalls the challenges of playing a character with no purpose.
Yes.
Did I quote that verbatim?
Yes.
That was pretty good. I mean, it's true. What was his purpose? You know, to wipe out the entire human race. That was his
Right.
goal. So that was
apparently that was it.
Yeah. Well, I think they said it.
So what? So that he could just not have anybody else to kill?
Yeah, nothing. The nothing, apparently. So yeah, then what happens with all the dead people? They just live forever?
Check this out. Here's a good one. Entire southern border somehow on fire 10 minutes after Kushner begins tackling immigration system.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's a good headline.
That whole thing, we're not going to talk about the southern border, are we?
No,
Okay.
I don't want to talk about
That's
that.
too much.
That was an Onion headline, dude.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I love that shit. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what the fucking other one came from.
I especially like when people react.
Cory Booker
Like
tries to.
dumbass.
Here's a picture of Cory Booker with his hand fucked up, and it says Cory Booker tries to relate to rural voters by mangling hand and grain auger.
Oh, God. That is terrible. Damn it. Man. What the fuck? Dude, people are so funny, man.
Here we go. Chase CEO giving commencement speech pledges to double whole class's student loan debt. Yeah, he does.
Oh, shit.
Well, he will. If you're making minimum payments, you're paying a lot of money on that shit. Just keep
Dude,
that in
you
mind.
never catch up. They love that shit. They just get payments. I mean, look at all the revenue. I mean, I wonder what...
You'd be paying for the rest of your life.
I wonder what the revenue they're getting... I've never looked into that, really, on the student loan debt. Like, what the revenue they're getting is compared to what kind of payments people are actually making on their principal.
Yeah.
And how those two numbers are, look against each other and how they change,
I don't know, but I know that student loans and medical care have risen at a higher price than anything else.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
Everything else has been, most things go get cheaper, but school and medical care seem to keep getting more expensive.
Medical care. Why is medical care so expensive?
Oh, I don't fucking know, dude. Whatever.
I mean, we know why. There's a bunch of symptoms of it.
Yeah,
but
a bunch of greedy.
Nobody's doing anything about it.
But it's a bunch of greedy fucks. Is a big part of the
Well,
problem.
why do companies get medication cheaper in other countries and bring it back here?
Well, I don't know if that's probably some type of a law or some type of trade contracts that those other countries have with the United States.
Well, they're allowed. I don't believe our insurance companies are allowed to talk pricing with pharmaceutical companies.
Well, they have to get a price on it and get the stuff at a price.
I don't think that they're allowed to negotiate. I think there are barriers to keep them from being able to negotiate.
Well,
Other countries don't have those barriers.
Well, I know that other countries are negotiating cheaper prices.
Yeah.
And that, like, and that's one thing Bernie Sanders was trying to do is to get it to where we could pay those same prices here.
Dude, but, I mean, first off, no matter what happens, if you go to a single-payer system, then basically take all of the pay for all the top-end people at all of the insurance companies and take their pay off of that total, I mean, we're paying all this money on insurance, but then people have a yearly minimum they have to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically alleviate themselves of any responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, worst case scenario.
Right. That's not. I don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about that
insurance and
either.
shit.
It's too much about that too. I can go way down the rabbit hole on that.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, so what are we at now in the news? Got any real news?
Man, there's
I'm down
really
1%.
everything's about Trump and Mueller.
It's
And
always about fucking
this
these assholes.
now they got this other guy they're trying to get into. Here we go. I'll just go to it. I was trying to find something better to talk about. I'm sick of fucking
We're gonna talk about something.
all of this
I'll
shit.
just ramble all fucking
All of
night.
this shit killing me here. Here we go. Oh, that's not here. Okay, whatever. I've lost it. Fucking A. Take da 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 da. Apparently, here's you get shit from Fox News always pops up in it too, and it's always funny because you have all this other shit, and then all of a sudden Fox News is talking shit about Jim Carrey.
Fox News is talking shit about Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I mean, why is Jim Carrey any less qualified?
Jim Carrey's pro-abortion tweet backfires. I want to see the tweet now.
He had a pro-abortion tweet?
Yeah. Actor Jim Carrey's latest tweet took a shot at Alabama's new law, but it seemed to backfire, drawing praise from pro-lifers instead.
What was it?
It was, I don't fucking know. It was some weird looking. He's not a bad artist, but his stuff's kind of, I don't know, not good.
Who are we talking about?
Jim Carrey.
Artist?
So he tweeted a picture that he drew. I mean, he's better than I am, but that's not saying much, man. I can't draw a fucking stick figure. So he tweets that out.
Jim Carrey drew that?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's been doing art, a lot of art, but it's all like inspired by politics and shit. And like a bunch of pictures of Trump.
Dude, he's pretty like intense about that shit, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him. He's obviously really over the top and shit, but
yeah, he's all right. But so whatever.
He's big into the whole freeing yourself from the fucking bullshit, you know, which is easy to say when you're a fucking millionaire.
Right?
But.
Yeah, of course. If every millionaire ever could tell me about how easy it was to be now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard work. Yes, of course it is. Okay. Yeah, it's all stuff. People, Trump's making Republicans uncomfortable. Oh, here's something interesting. So I heard about this a while back on, I've heard a lot about it on a few podcasts that I listen to, the Meat Eater podcast and the Hunting Collective.
Uh-huh.
They were talking about this. And there was a Herrera versus Wyoming. There's a treaty which allowed members of the tribes to hunt unoccupied lands in exchange for their land, which became Wyoming and parts of Wyoming and Montana. And so at issue is whether the hunting rights in the treaty were still in effect or nullified when Wyoming became a state. And so then Gorsuch, one of the newer Supreme Court justices, sided with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Alina Kagan, Stephen Breyer, and Justice Sotomayor, and say that he was improperly convicted of off-season hunting. So they're basically saying upholding it. They said, the Supreme Court said that a territory gaining statehood is not enough to extinguish Indian treaty rights to hunt, fish, and gather on land within state boundaries. The court went further in that case, stating that Congress must clearly express an intention to end a treaty with a Native American tribe in order for their rights to expire.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, that's cool.
And,
good for them. I mean, that's the least we can do, right?
Yeah.
Jesus, dude. What the fuck? They got a pretty bad fucking deal.
Oh, and then the Supreme Court. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Indians got really fucking hosed too.
Dude, no shit.
You know,
we came over here and killed off what? They killed off
most of them.
20 million of them or some crazy shit like that?
Yeah. Well, we
in
didn't
no
fucking
time
do nothing. We just happened to be born here well after it happened.
Yeah, exactly. We have to take fucking responsibility for it, though. And unfortunately,
yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's, you know. And then Kavanaugh sided with the same justices on a case ruling that Apple can be sued over high prices in their app store.
Really?
Yeah, well, people were complaining that the app store is the only place where you can get iPhone apps.
Okay.
And so whatever.
Yeah.
Then get a fucking Android.
Yeah. No shit.
You know? I don't know. I've never downloaded an app that wasn't free, I don't think. Maybe once or twice. Paid 99 cents for something.
I mean, what could they be charging for?
Well,
apps?
I bought Onyx Hunt, but I mean, that's like a subscription deal. Like the app's free, then you pay for the subscription.
So, that decided what now? That
they can be sued because it's like probably I don't know, some kind of antitrust shit or something. They can be sued over their price. But that's just that doesn't mean that anything can come of the lawsuits. That's just them giving them, saying, yeah.
People the right to.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what our Supreme Court's dealing with?
They're doing, yeah. They're always deciding stupid shit. So, I mean, you know, whatever. So much of the same old bullshit going on.
Yeah, is there anything interesting going on?
Well, not really.
Mm-hmm.
We talk here about there's a Politico article here about Mike Pence. I read it earlier, and it's just same shit. Like, his fingerprints are all over the healthcare reforms, how they're trying to wipe out funding to Planned Parenthood and this and that. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know, and same deal. If you're out there and you're pissed about what the government's doing to Planned Parenthood, call them up, make a $20 donation, and if everybody who's fucking felt that strongly about it did it, they'd have more money than they're getting now. There you go. That's all you need to do. So
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, it doesn't, you know, if you think, I don't.
I mean, are we
you know,
going to save on our taxes from them defunding this shit? Or they're just going to take that money?
No, they're going to
wipe
just take
their
it
ass
and
with
shuffle it
else.
somewhere else. But I mean, what the fuck? I don't get a say in who they kill with my shit, anyways.
Yeah, no shit.
Here's the deal.
They didn't ask me.
Here's the deal.
Last time I went to war.
Here's the deal. I'm gonna lay it out here real quick for you. I've kind of grown apathetic about the whole thing because
What whole thing specifically?
all of it. When
Yeah.
you're a voice crying in the wilderness for so long, the people literally elect exactly the thing you've been crying in the wilderness about for a decade or whatever. And then the people are pissed off about it and they think, well, if we can just get rid of this guy, then our problems will be solved. And they're not ever going to realize that the system you have gave you exactly what you deserved for creating that system. Okay?
Yeah, the whole thing's pretty sick.
Yeah. And if it wasn't Trump, it was going to be Hillary.
Yeah.
And
No, I can't say that would have been any better.
every time everybody's sick of the bullshit, and every time there's an election, if you tell people you're going to vote for a Green Party candidate or you're going to vote for a Libertarian candidate or whatever, people are like, you're wasting your vote.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, man? I would rather waste my vote by casting it for this loser who's not going to win than for casting it for a psychopath I've seen laugh on national television about a guy getting sodomized to death in the street with a goddamn sword. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
That's all I'm saying, man.
I don't know, they're all. The problem is that there's too much.
I've given up because
finances should not be in any way
think
tied
anybody cares.
into or involved with any of our politics, and that's all it's about.
Well, it's all about money.
Why is the government? The government
We have the internet now, man. You
doesn't
should be able
need
to run
be involved in
Yeah,
commerce.
we have the internet now. If you can't run a political campaign for $100, then you shouldn't. I mean, or you should have to pay like 5 nerds who sit in their basement for a week, get a thing started, and then they've got fucking little meme frogs running around getting you elected.
Meme
Look at
frogs.
that. I mean, come on.
Meme frogs.
Whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a technical term.
Maybe. I don't know.
maybe.
Maybe. I mean, Trump had no strategy other than to let himself get elected.
I mean,
Really.
he appealed to some
Trump.
things that people have felt like they've been ignored about for a long time.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
that's what
Yeah,
happened.
he did. But
I think it was the immigration thing, but the problem is that you have people believing that immigration is one of our fundamental issues, and you have them believing this because this is what you're telling them is going on, but that's like the least of our problems.
I don't know.
12 million illegal immigrants is the least of our problems.
Yeah, I don't know. We got a lot of problems.
We got a lot more going on than that.
Yeah. How about all the fucking? I saw something about 100,000 troops to Iran or some shit. It's like, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's going on in Iran now?
There you go. So yeah, there's a lot going on there.
I've kind of laid low for about the last week.
There's a whole lot to unpack there, and I don't think we're gonna get into that right now.
Well, what's the gist of it? What's the quickie? What's going on?
Give me a motherfucking second. You go ahead and talk about how crazy it is.
How crazy what is?
I don't know. You talk about something. I'll give you the gist. I'll give the rundown on the story when you get finished.
I'm not sure what you want me to say.
So basically the problem is that Iran has moved their country extremely close to our military bases.
They've moved their country close to our bases?
Yes.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, you see here.
You see,
what Iran fails to understand is what most of the rest of the world understands, and then that's that the people that run the military-industrial complex, that run the United States of America, actually feel entitled to everything.
I mean, okay, that's
So-
obvious. Yeah, we just go wherever the fuck we go. Hey,
Right.
oh, what? You don't like this shit? Oh, we're setting up shop in this motherfucker. We're
Right,
setting up
right.
shop right here. We're gonna
Right,
bring
yeah.
missiles and rockets. We're gonna build an airstrip and land
Yeah.
airplanes out here. Yeah.
So the problem is, so that Iran's confused about who's in charge.
Is that right?
It is.
So what are they asserting themselves?
So they are kind of, but not really. But so let me see how to put this. Trump told them that if they fucked with us, he would destroy them.
Oh yeah.
And they had the nerve to say that his boorish behavior was unbecoming of a leader and that his threats didn't scare them. And they were also confused about his mixed signals. But once again, they don't understand how the relationship works.
Yeah.
Right. So here's how the relationship works, Iran. Let me tell you. And any of you other countries out there who are thinking about maintaining your sovereignty and the resources that were within your borders.
Yeah. What would we do if Iran came over here and just took over a chunk of land and set up shop?
Well, let me tell you what would happen. We would destroy them.
As they came. We
They
wouldn't let them
wouldn't
get
do
over
it.
there. And, yes.
Right.
Right.
But that's not how it works, you see, because the world is a house.
So we're sending 100. Did you
Right?
say 100,000?
That's what there were talks of that, speaks of that.
Dude, that's a
But-
lot of
so listen,
feet on the ground.
So the world is a house, and the U.S. military-industrial complex is the daddy of that house,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And Iran is a closet. And that's where we keep our oil.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
For
yeah.
when we run out of the oil in the other closet. And now it's time for Iran to let us into the closet. But Iran, under no circumstances, comes out of the closet. This is how it works.
Right. Yeah.
So for all of you other countries who are thinking about poking your head out of the fucking closet, stay where you're at until we're ready to come collect the resources that you owe us for being imperialist and white and creating the world banks and coming and robbing you of your resources so that we can all live cushy lives. Thank you.
Dude, that was pretty well put.
Yeah. So, anyways, what's next?
I don't know. That's every time something starts, it doesn't end until it's been way overdrawn, way
Yeah.
overdone, way overcooked. Too many dead people. One dead person over what other people are doing with their property and in their land is too many. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it can't be our business. Occupations don't work. They've never worked. Nobody's ever successfully occupied anybody except Japan. But now look what we got. We're babysitting those motherfuckers for eternity. You know.
Yeah, they got pretty good, man. They got some real weird porn. But they do blur. You gotta appreciate it because they're a little weird, but they blur out the good part. They're like, you see this octopus in this girl's pussy? Well, now it's just an octopus with a blur.
Do you have to pay? I mean, like if you buy Asian porn in Asia, do you get it without the blurs?
I don't believe so, sir.
So it's blurs only.
Yeah, if anybody in Japan's listening,
Yeah, if you could
please email us at
Everybody's
everyone's
experience.
favorite show at gmail.com because we do want to know.
Yes, yeah, that's important
And-
information actually.
And for future reference, I don't know how often we're going to get to do the literally the news segments, but if you come across something interesting you'd like to hear us expound upon
Bitch about.
or whatever, send it our way. And the weirder the better. I mean, politics, whatever.
Yeah,
I'd rather not talk about it.
yeah, we should
Yeah.
have pre-planned that a little bit.
Well, I was trying to, and then my computer was having issues keeping all the tabs open on the stories about drugs that I wanted to talk about. So, I mean, speaking of drugs, Indiana is like the meth capital of the world.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe I've.
That kind of doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you want to be known for something.
Well, when you live here, you realize there's really not much else to do besides drink and do drugs and fuck, and that's why we all have kids and we're drunk.
Yeah.
Except for our homeless guys, they have their shit together. They all have jobs. They don't drink at all. They just live in a box so they can continue to live in a box.
You think that's what's going on with most homeless people?
No.
Yeah, I was about to say. You and I might have a different.
There are a
opinion.
lot of people in Indianapolis who believe that 90% of the homeless are choosing to be homeless, though. And they don't want to do anything better. But I don't know.
Dude, it takes everything a lot of people have just to keep it together. Fucking 1 month after the next. You know?
Yeah.
And if you slip just past that point where you're not able to maintain that, then that's fucking. And then there's nobody to let you come live on their couch.
Yeah.
Then that's how homeless motherfuckers are made.
Yeah, that's true.
Or
That's why I
mental
feel
illness
like
that keeps them from being able to get a job and nobody to take care of them.
I feel like the first possession you should get is a car, and you should always have one. So if nothing else, you're not homeless. You just live in a mobile home.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but if I have a tent parked permanently, I'm not fucking homeless. I live here, asshole. You say what you want, but I mean, how is it? Look,
Almost choked on my
motherfucker,
eyes.
how is living in a campground any different than living in an apartment? You don't own that shit. It's no different. No different.
No different?
No.
No different.
Not at all. No.
Okay.
I mean, if you got a roof over your head and you can get mail sent there, that's a home.
Oh, man. I mean,
I'm pretty sure they
kinda
send
make a
mail
point.
to all of the campgrounds. So,
I would assume so, yeah.
yeah. All right, so that's fucking more than enough for this time.
Yeah.
That's the first, literally the news segment, and we'll probably try to do this again whenever I can pry the gooch over here. Although, we might invite some guests in here sometimes too, we don't know. But send us some funny shit. We'll try to make it more entertaining and less about fucking Trump the next time. But thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Until then, be fucking cool.